Well, I know it's been a while, but I think it's really important as tax season is here. I'm getting tons of questions about just what are my different, what are my filing responsibilities? Can I file my house? I'm getting so many questions about taxes. What can I file on my taxes? What shouldn't I be filed? Hey, I hear that I'm an LLC and there's this new filing responsibility that I have to actually make sure that I am in compliance with, because if not, it could be jail time. I am hearing so much information about people getting letters. They filed their taxes years ago and they're just now getting letters from 3 years ago from taxes that they did. So I want to make sure I take the time to cover some key things because as of right now, it's tax season and I just need us to know these things. So first things first, if you are an LLC, whether you're a single member LLC, a multi-member LLC, if you're a corporation, if you are a foreign entity or an LP, there is that filing requirement. Whether your business made zero money or if your business made a ton of money, you have to file this BOI report, okay? Failure to file this BOI report can cause you to have, jail time and up to a $500 penalty per day. So this report is basically required by FinCEN.gov. FinCEN is saying, hey, there's all these new business owners out there. We want to know who the owner of this business is, who's actually going to be held responsible, who's deeming themselves as the owner of the entity. When you file this report, they're going to need a valid driver's license. They are going to need to know the owner's name, the owner's email address, the owner's, home address. They need to know exactly who owns this entity and where can they find them out, okay? So if you have an LLC, I don't care if you're like, I've never done anything with it. It hasn't made any money. There's no point in me filing it. I've never filed it. Understand that FinCEN.gov is aware of all of these LLCs that exist, and they want to make sure that business owners are filing this, because there's no point of you going to jail just because you didn't file a report. Okay, so make sure you take the time to go to FinCEN.gov and understand the report. Again, all you need is your identification. In addition to a valid ID, it's gonna ask you about your entity and who the owners are. In the event that that's something that you need help with, our team is doing it for a very, very affordable rate, so that you can be able to make sure that you are in compliance with FinCEN.gov. If you're a business owner, if you are an LLC, whether you're a single member LLC, a multi-member LLC, a corporation, a LP, a limited partnership, that you are in compliance with it, and even foreign entities, all right? FinCEN.gov, you file your BOI report so that you can be compliant. You need a valid ID. You don't even have to list all of your members on there. So when you go to FinCEN.gov and you're filing, we're only charging $150 to file your BOI per entity. So if you have multiple entities, if you have multiple LLCs, then basically, it'd be $150 per entity. We'll give you a full copy of that, so you can make sure you have record of that. If you're a sole proprietor, then no, you do not have to actually file this. However, if you're a single member LLC, you do. So the only responsible parties for this BOI, Beneficiary Owners Information Report, are individuals that are LLCs, whether a single member, whether you're a multi-member, so LLCs, corporations, foreign entities, LPs, limited partnerships, and foreign entities. So guess what? FinCEN.gov starts saying, FinCEN.gov, they started saying, like, listen, all these people are opening up all these LLCs, right? They're opening up LLCs and they're trying to get funding with them. They're opening up LLCs and they're, filing these 940s, right? To be able to get this ERC money. They're opening up these LLCs because they're trying to, do all of these different things. They want to be able to get some of this PPP money. They've done all these things in the past. And can you be in the chat and drop, if you're interested as well and basically wanting to file your BOI, you can DM me. And if you DM me, then basically DM me with your number. And when you DM me with your number, then a member of my team will call you, okay? Because we want to make sure I answer all questions here. If you send your number to us, if you DM us, then we'll basically call you, and that means that you're ready to take action. We'll take payment. We'll get everything that we need to get your business in compliant. But let me talk to you about this because it's a really big deal. And basically, you know, I want to make sure we're compliant, right? So FinCEN.gov was like, listen, people are starting businesses, right? And it's a beautiful thing to start your LLC, to start your entity. But now there has to be a level of responsibility. So you can own a business, you can have an LLC, even if your LLC isn't making money, you still have to meet this filing responsibility. If you're thinking, well, I've had my LLC since 2019, since 2000, I've had it forever and I've never did anything with it. Okay, that's absolutely fine, right? That means you may not have any, you know, federal income that you're reporting. However, this FinCEN.gov filing requirement is still relative to you, and you need to file it just to have peace of mind because you are an LLC owner. Now, what if you're like, well, I've had my LLC for quite some time and, you know, I'm not planning to do anything with it. Now, this may be a good time for you to consider, okay, let me go ahead and file this so I can be compliant, so I'm not getting that $500 penalty per day, so that I'm not actually, you know, so I'm not getting that $500 penalty per day and, you know, up to, you know, let me just tell you, there can be a $500 penalty for not filing this report per day and up to $10,000 and or 2 years imprisonment for anyone that fails to file. Failing to file this report, complete and updated information can be a headache, okay? And so as I begin to have so many conversations with a lot of my small business owners, they're like, well, yeah, I've had my little business forever, but I'm not doing anything with it. I never file it. And I'm like, okay, that's absolutely fine. But now's the time for you to consider, do you want to go ahead and file this report and get your LLC closed out, you know, or come up with a strategy to basically, you know, maybe sell it to someone else and make it a shell corp or whatever, you know, but do you want to develop a strategy? Because just having it sit now can cost you money. Okay, and nobody wants to pay money just because they didn't file a little form. It's going to be too costly. So make sure you're in compliant with this FinCEN.gov report. Now let me share this with you because there's different filing requirements. So basically, if you started your LLC as of January 1st, 2024, and I'm looking down just because the details of the dates are right here. If you filed your LLC, basically after January 1st of 2024, you must file on or before January 1, 2025, okay? Businesses formed after January 1, but before January 1, 2025, must file a complete registration no later than 90 days. So say, for instance, you filed your LLC this year. If you started your LLC as of January 1 or after this year, you have 90 days to actually file this FinCEN.gov report. You have to file it, no questions asked, 90 days. And then entities, right, that basically start, LLCs or, you know, corporations, they start their tax filing after January 1 of 2025 next year, then you have 30 days. So basically they're just saying, hey, we're going to start holding you on more responsible. Those of you guys that are on here, let's not talk about the future. Let's just talk about the current. Let's get those BOIs filed because you need that off of your mental plate. You need to get that, either go figure it out yourself, right? Go to FinCEN.gov and figure it out. Use the information that I provided. You need a valid driver's license. They're going to need to know the owners of the, you know, of the LLC. Technically, LLCs are, you know, corporations. They have shareholders and they have managing members, but they're actually attaching a person to it. So the tricky thing that I've realized about this is actually pretty interesting. So technically, the whole reason people become LLCs, right, is because they want separation of person and entity. They want to be separated from their business. They don't want to be held responsible if the company is sued, if the company, right, if something goes bad. But then listen to this, like I'm realizing the correlation, but then they're directly asking who is the owner of the LLC, who is the owner of the corporation. So what it's doing, it's actually connecting a person to the ownership of a business. When you have an LLC, you're considered a managing member or a member of the entity. When you have a corporation, you're considered, you know, a shareholder. But now that this filing requirement exists. It's asking the owners to deem themselves known. Who are the owners? So I feel like it's really making it's an area where now, owners can be potentially held responsible for what happens. So that, that very clear line of demarcation, the separation that takes place from owner and entity is not so clear anymore, because now FinCEN.gov directly knows, okay, who's the owner of this entity. Okay? So that's what that filing responsibility is. That's kind of how it works, is basically holding business owners responsible to make sure that what they're filing, what they're doing with their business, they're going to be held accountable for. Okay? So that's the FinCEN.gov. If you currently have an LLC and you have not filed, or a corporation or a limited partnership, or a foreign entity, then we will file your BOI for $150. DM me your name and your number, and then basically a member of my team will call you to help you with that filing responsibility. Now, it won't be a call where you can start asking us a bunch of other questions. That's a consultation, and that's a different service. But if you own a business and you need to file your BOI because you don't want a $500 penalty per day and and jail time, or up to, then I'm going to tell you to definitely DM us your name, your number, so a member of my team can file your BOI. Again, this is not a time for conversation, for us to begin to consult you. We'd love to do that, but these calls are going to make sure that you're in compliance. That's why we made the rate crazy affordable, $150. So there's no reason why your BOI, is not being filed. All right. So I'm taking a pause really quick on the BOI topic, because if you guys don't have any questions, then I'm going to go ahead and shift over and talk about just some business expense, business tax deductions, things that you need to be aware of as you're filing your taxes. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to either, put your hand up or let me know, or you could even drop it in the chat, or you can request to jump in. I want to be able to answer any questions you have regarding your BOI. And then if not, we're going to shift over to tax filing requirements. Some things that you need to know. All right? No questions. All right. So if one comes up, I'll definitely pause and I'll read it. But I just want us to be in the know. I think the coolest thing ever is, as a business owner, is if you can know what's required of you, it's automatically going to lift a weight off of your shoulders, because you're no longer trying to figure out, oh my goodness, like, I don't want to get a letter, I don't want to get in trouble. I only want you guys to focus on making the money in your business versus having to actually, have a mental radar of, okay, did I file this? Did I do this? Okay, am I going to get in trouble? I don't want no problems. I don't want IRS knocking on my door. So that's one of the reasons why I jumped on here, to be able to share some information that I believe that can be helpful. All right. So if you guys don't have any questions, now we're going to shift and we're going to talk about business expense, because I'm seeing this, and because of course I've done taxes now for like 13, 14 years, I'm seeing something happen year and year and year again. And I'm having these same conversations with business owners that file Schedule C's, that file, 1065s, that, are sole proprietors. They have side hustles. They work from home. They do something, right? They do something, and they know that basically they want to itemize expense on their taxes. Can anybody relate? Like, man, I know I'm a little business owner. I have a little side hustle, and every year I itemize expense. This is something I need you to understand, because it is so, so important. Okay. And the first thing is this, is as a business owner, there's two types of expense. It's so important that we understand this, because when you go and you sit down with somebody, right, and they just let you write off anything that you want on your taxes, I need you to have a level of information, a level of understanding as a business owner, because if IRS says, hey, we want to challenge that, hey, Letty, if IRS says, hey, we want to challenge that, hey, you're a business owner, we want to question. They say that there can be up to 2 audits in a lifetime as a business owner. If IRS wants to challenge anything on your return, I want you to be able to say, okay, great. First of all, I understand what's on my return. I understand the rules of what IRS allows me to deduct versus not deduct. So you're never like, well, this person just put some stuff on my taxes and that's how I got a big refund. Or you're never thinking, well, I gave her all this stuff and I thought I could deduct it. So I want you to know this for your information. So the first thing is this. Understand that there are there's two primary categories for expense. So as a business owner, you can deduct anything on your taxes that you deem as ordinary and necessary. So as a business owner, if I decide that this pillow right here, okay, this pillow is ordinary and necessary because every year, since we've had a tax operation, we've always had a sofa in our office, then this is a business expense that I can deduct on my taxes, okay? Right? Now, this is an expense that could be questionable, right? Because when IRS sees this pillow, IRS doesn't see any branding on here. This could be a pillow that I'm planning to actually put in my house. What about this pillow, for example, right? So understand that there's different, just because I have pillows in here and I'm deducting pillows on my taxes, IRS can be like, you're a tax office. Why are you deducting some pillows on your taxes? This doesn't make sense. But I'm like, no, these are actually branded pillows, right? Well, this one, even though we bought this pillow directly for the office because we wanted to tie in the colors, this pillow might be a little more challenging to be able to substantiate because there's no technical branding on here, right? And so I always tell my clients, if you're going to deduct something, make sure it meets the test of the eye. If IRS just were to just see it alone, would they be able to easily identify, oh, okay, that's actually an expense. It's obvious because the branding is as big as ever on there, and then it's no problem for you to be able to deduct it, right? But back to this deduction topic, because everybody wants deductions. Let me tell you something. When you have a business and you take deductions, it can possibly allow you to be able to drive a tax bill from $100,000 all the way down to zero, right? That's if you have those deductions, right? Business owners can deduct anything they deem as ordinary and necessary. But understand there's two types of business expense. There's direct and indirect, okay? This is so important because when you sit on the phone to do your business taxes or to cover anything, I need to make sure that you understand the difference. A direct expense is anything that's obviously used that's directly related to the business. So for example, this branding behind me is an obvious direct expense. This wallpaper that's behind me, it's directly for the business, right? I mean, when we leave out of this office, when we move out, this wallpaper is not coming with us, right? This tripod that I'm currently on, right? The paper, the supplies, the desk, the chairs. These are all direct business expense. Let me tell you where IRS is really getting very, meticulous and holding business owners accountable for. And when they generally do an audit, they can generally be able to get back the money that you thought you were saving or you were getting back because of this one thing. It's called indirect expense. So what is indirect expense? That's all the stuff that we actually use. What about my rent? What about my car? What about my, what about my rent, car, cell phone? What about my insurance? What about my utilities? What about anytime you have to put on there, what about if that's the first part of your sentence, then it's highly likely that that's considered an indirect expense, which means you would have this expense whether or not you were doing business, okay? Whether or not you're doing business, you're going to have this cell phone. Whether or not you're doing business, you're going to have this car insurance. Whether or not you're doing business, you're going to have this utility bill. Whether or not you're doing business, you're going to have that internet bill. Whether or not you're doing business, you're going to have this car payment. All that whether or not is generally considered an indirect business expense, and that's where a lot of taxpayers play in the gray. They play in the gray, and then basically if IRS were to challenge, hey, is this something that you can actually prove? They don't understand the strategy of, right? They generally cannot substantiate what they have on their tax filing. So the first thing I want you to be able to take note of is if you're a business owner, the goal is always to make a bunch of money. And we generally only fear two people in this life so much to where we want to, we really don't want to get on their bad side. It's God and the IRS. So what if you could just What if you could just understand what IRS's responsibilities are so that you could just be able to make sure that you're compliant, so that you can just be able to make sure that you're utilizing your tax deductions, but you understand, okay, if it's an indirect expense, If it's something I would have anyway, then let me make sure things are structured properly. Let me make sure I actually attach a structure in place before I just go start deducting some stuff on my taxes because I want to get a really big refund or I want to save money on my taxes. Hi there. Let me make sure of that. And so, I would love to be able to get into a tax strategy with you and be able to identify, what strategy needs to be in place. Some of the easy things you can do with those, right? With those indirect expenses. If you have, a business line anyway, and I'm 100% business owner. I've been a 100% business owner. Hi, Isha. I've been a 100% business owner since I was 23 years old. So at first I was just playing around. I was just making some little money. You know what I'm saying? I was just doing some stuff. I really didn't know what I was doing. But then at 24 as a business owner, I got audited. And instead of me just looking at the letter, I told IRS, hey, I actually want to come into your office and I want to, understand what is it that you're going to look at. And even though I put all my paperwork together so nicely and I thought that I was in position for that audit, things were not in order, and the stuff that I was deducting on my taxes, they disallowed, and I ended up having to walk away with a 6-figure tax bill at 24 years old. Right? And so when I learned that, what did it do? It allowed me to tighten up. It allowed me to learn the information. And now that's something I'm constantly loading into my clients. I've even lost so many clients that I love that are amazing because I'm like, listen, hey, I don't want to just keep on letting you. I don't want you to keep on just even, taking these big losses on your business because it's helping you save money. Why not spend $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 together where we can put a tax strategy in place? So we can really look at glance your life, what's happening. Okay, cool. What is your business? Okay, cool. What expense are you using? Let's identify, okay, with you having this tax strategy in place, you'll be able to save $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. You'll be able to save a lot of money over the next few years. $30,000 versus you not having a tax strategy in place and you're just guessing every year, hoping and praying that the numbers don't trigger a red flag and then IRS audits you, right? So having things in place, like understanding if you have a phone that you use, that if you're a business owner, that phone should be shifted into your business name. My sister got so upset with me when her kids went to Disney World and she was like, can they get some spending money? With all due respect, I will never give kids any spending money. It's a waste of money. I'm never just going to give kids some money, kids or no kids. What did I do? I told Rylan and Rael, hey, you guys can come over. I'll have you guys complete a W-9 and you can do some work for me. And after you do some work for me, then guess what? You'll get issued a 1099 and I can be able to deduct that money on my taxes. As a parent, one of your biggest expenses is your children, is your child. Why not make your child an employee of you? Don't just give him an allowance. Giving him allowance is not tax deductible. His extracurricular activities will never do anything for your taxes. You don't even know if he's going to grow up and be a responsible adult. But what happens if you realize, okay, I'm a business owner. I recognize I do spend a lot of money on my child. I am having him do things here and there. Why don't I actually go ahead and develop a strategy whereabout now, instead of my kid just working or just thinking that if you're good and you get good grades, I'm going to basically give you money and buy you stuff? Why not develop a strategy, right? So that when you're paying, so that your child is doing something, and then guess what? When you go spend $500 on school clothes, your kid has worked throughout the summer, and now you're paying him a rate for working throughout the summer by way of cleaning your car, being your personal assistant, cleaning your car, cleaning your house, filing paperwork. They know how to create TikToks, recording you, right? You've developed a strategy for your child whereby now you cut him a check. Now this $500 check that you would generally just spend on school clothes, that is the worst. That's the biggest waste of money ever, because it's never going to save you money on your taxes and you're not teaching your kids stewardship. Now that's a deduction for you because you hired this child in your business. You hired your child, right, to work in your business. So now you give him that check. He gets to go spend his own money. Hey, Anna. He gets to go spend his money buying his school clothes, and it's a tax deduction. But if you're just paying for dance and you're just paying for, my niece and nephew, they do like karate or jitsu or whatever. When I was a little kid, I did cheerleading. My mom just paying for that, it didn't do anything for it didn't do anything for her. But now since I've sat enough and I see how much money, I'm like, parents are generally, they're like, I'm like, you made 30,000, you made 90,000, you made 100,000. They're like, I don't know where kids are so expensive. And I'm like, well, stop spending it on them. Make them work for it. Hire that little boy, hire that little girl, give her a job so it can benefit. So all the money that you possibly find yourself funneling to your child anyway, now it benefits. It benefits you on your taxes. If not, if your greatest expense is your child and you're a business owner and you haven't set up a strategy around it, I think that you may want to possibly consider something else. Especially if you're going to have kids in your house till you're 18. Now, what if you're not a parent, right? So you're not paying out all of it. What if you're not a parent? As a business owner, I don't have any kids, but I recognize I got tired of relatives just asking me for money. People that I wanted to help, now I don't loan anybody any money. I don't give anybody anything. No, the moment somebody says, can I borrow some money? Can you help me with this? I'm immediately identifying, okay, what can I hire them to do? Well, my dad is 60 something. So, you know what I'm saying? He could sweep the garage, because I'm a business owner and so I can hire him to be my cleaner, to do some contract services. He can paint the garage. Now, instead of me just giving my parent money, now I've actually found a position. I found a need in my immediate life. Instead of me just pulling into a garage, right, that got a bunch of leaves or that needs to be painted or it's unorganized. No, Dad, I can't lend you any money to help you pay your cell phone bill or quite frankly, help you pay anything. Respectfully, because I'm going to have to pay money on that money that I gave you. So you get the money for free and I have to pay taxes on it. That doesn't make sense. I'm not being a good steward of my money and God's not going to bless me. So instead, why don't I do this? Dad, you can come paint the garage and you can organize the garage and the rooftop looks a hot mess right now. And, basically I'll cut you a check at the end of the day and I'll pay you. Okay, thank you. Okay, bet. Guess what that did? I just helped my dad. I just got some labor. I made some improvements. That's one less thing I have to do. But more importantly, it's a business expense. It's something that I can legitimately deduct on my taxes and it can help me save money. Why wouldn't I do it? So now I literally look at everything. Like this dress that I'm wearing right now, I got it from Walmart because it was cute and I liked it, right, when I was going to pick up some office supplies. But it's not a tax deduction. So what am I going to do? I'm going to be calling Paula very soon and telling Paula, hey, Paula, I need you to put my logo on here. Logo here, logo here. I need you to put my logo on this article of clothing because quite frankly, I'm not putting it on my body if I can't deduct it. It doesn't make sense. I'm not putting it on my body. My purse. I'm going to take some time to do a video soon when I'm at my house. I know I don't get on here. I don't get to talk a whole bunch. But even my robes, I bought some robes from Victoria's Secret. They were cute as all get out, right? One's purple with flowers and then another one. I put my brand in there. I'm like, this doesn't make sense if I'm wearing this robe and I spent $60 on it, and you don't get to deduct it on your taxes. Well, if my brand is relentless and now I just put my brand in that robe, and I'm doing some content, I'm doing my affirmations in this robe, now it can be considered a uniform and it's a viable tax deduction. My pillow sheets literally have branding in them. It's not a game. I am so serious about this stuff. Why am I so serious about it? Because me over the years, understand that this has been my only really job, right? I had one little job at Citi. And then when I left there, I've been a business owner since I was 23. I'm 35 now. So instead of me just doing taxes every single year, doing taxes, right? Seeing how people want to take advantage and take write-offs, right? And, and all that kind of stuff. I begin to identify okay, if people want to take write-offs, people are asking me, can I deduct my dog on my taxes? Because I spend a lot of money on them. I'm like, no, unless you have a dog business, then you don't need to spend any money on your tax. You don't need to spend a bunch of money on that dog. If you're gonna have a pet that you spend a bunch of money on, why not figure out how you can attach a service to it? Why not figure out, okay, do you want to have a dog walking service? Do you want, what is it? What type of strategy can we wrap around just this little dog that you have? Because you're telling me how you paid for kennels and you paid for dog food and you're paying for all this stuff, right? YouTubing is a viable channel. Business owners are making a ton of money off of YouTube. Your dog could have a YouTube channel where you show his little clothes. People love to watch the darnest of things. I always like to develop a strategy with my clients to identify, okay, what is it that you spend money on? Okay, if this is what you spend money on all the time, this is where you're spending a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, then let's go ahead and build some strategy around it so it can make a difference on your taxes. If not, you'll give away almost, the federal tax rate goes up to 37%, I believe. So that means if I make $100, I'm gonna have to give away 37 of those dollars off the muscle. That's only federal taxes. Then there's Medicare taxes, then there's Social Security taxes. So if you have to pay a federal tax rate of up to 37%, right? That means that they got almost 40, they got almost 40 of your $100. Then you have to pay Medicare taxes and Social Security taxes. You're literally working. Can somebody give me one of those $100 bills I have over there? You're literally working your whole life. You're working your whole life away to give away almost 40% in federal taxes. You're working your whole life away to give away federal taxes, Medicare taxes, Social Security tax, and then guess what you got to do? Then you got to pay bills. So no wonder why the debt clock is consistently counting and like just increasing like crazy, right? It's increasing like crazy because we are living off of, I want to say probably a fraction of the income that we bring in. Almost most of our income is going to taxes. So of course your debt is going to be high because then you want to live a little bit. You want to go out on the weekend and spend and look like money, you know what I'm saying, and feel like money. But we know over most, thank you so much. All right, so let's look at this for the sake of the illustration. So if this is your money right here, then you know off the muscle, this is right down the middle, right, 50%. You know that 40% of that, this is that 37%, right? This is fake money, so don't get freaked out. I would never rip real money, all right? I believe in being a good steward. I'm trying to do better as well. 37% of it is going to your federal taxes, off the muscle. This is gone, capiche, goodbye, you can't do anything with it. Then you have your, you got your Medicare, you got your Social Security, because some people are like, man, these W-4s, I'll have a conversation about that later. I didn't adjust my W-4, no taxes are coming out, but you have to pay that Medicare and that Social Security tax. So bam, that's coming out, right? So now this is what you have left. You got this much left to pay bills. So, and we live in the United States, so the more you make, the more you spend. If you're making $70,000, you think you could afford now, you know what I'm saying, a $50,000 car, right? The more money you make, we just go out and we go and we spend now. Before, when we were making $30,000, we were eating at Chick-fil-A. Now, because we make, $80,000, we're always at the steakhouse. We're now our kids have a palate for this high stuff as well. Hello, Queen. Right? So then guess what's happening? So then this is what we have to pay bills off. We have to live off. We have to vacation off. We have to emergency expense off. We have to do our entire life off of. So no wonder why our debt is high, because then when bills come out, we're left with this. When bills come out, we're left with this. And this is not enough to really, really live our lives. So guess what we do? We go and we ask the bank to give us a credit card, right? We pull money out of our 401k. We're just living off, or we're thinking, oh, this is what I see the most. We're thinking we just need to work harder. I just got to work harder. If I could just make more money, let me just work harder and make more money because it's because I'm not making enough. That's absolutely not true. I have clients that make $30,000 and $40,000 and they live on a ranch. And they have, it's these Spanish demographics. They found a way to manage the little bit of money that they do have coming in. They're living off $30,000 and $40,000 with the wife not working, okay? The wife is not working and they have about 5 kids. So this is what I know. As people, we have to stop. We have to understand that unless you're a business owner, you're always going to pay this high tax rate, right? When you work a job, they're always going to take out taxes. That's not something you can ever circumvent. You can circumvent your federal taxes, but you cannot circumvent when you work a job and you get a W-2, your Medicare taxes and your Social Security tax, okay? Your bills, you can possibly cut those down, right? You can possibly look at, okay, what is my cell phone bill? Like, for example, we'll have another conversation about this. And this is as well why I sent out that offer where I have a community group where I'm going through all the stuff that I do with my clients. How I have 3 lines and my cell phone bill for 3 lines is, $37.99, just say $80 for 3 lines. And I actually have a 4th line that I'm not even using. So technically I'm paying for 4 lines, unlimited everything. I'm paying for 4 lines, unlimited everything for $80 a month. $80 a month. But let's finish talking about this, right? So basically you realize that there's little that you can do about the federal side. If you work a job, there's really not much you can do. They're going to have to take out their taxes, right? As a business owner, you can definitely decrease that, and you can be able to decrease your tax bill if you have enough deductions. Yep, I sent out a link in my in regards to that because it's super important, and I'm tired of people, I'm tired of us being basically defeated by money. But anyways, going back to this illustration, right? We pay taxes, right? We pay federal taxes, we pay Medicare taxes, Social Security taxes, and then we got our bills to live off of, right? So there's no way possible for you to be able to make this cover everything that you need to cover. There's no way possible for this to be able to cover the lifestyle and everything that our kids want in this lifestyle, this life that we want to live, unless we do something. We work harder, but there's still only 24 hours in the day, right? We work harder. We make more money, but what generally happens when people make more money, they don't even realize that they spend more money. I know, and I'm not saying any judgment because I've done it as well, and now I'm just being a lot more intentional. I've learned from myself, right? We make more money and we waste more money. Our living expense goes high. Now we think that we can sit at the dinner table, right? Hey, Nat, we think we can sit at the dinner table and we can eat out more. We think it's okay to rip and run and waste time and gas, right? We think we need to work harder. We think we need more income, but really it's a stewardship problem. You're not stewarding your time. You're not stewarding your energy. You're not stewarding your resources well. And so that's why it's not enough. So I just need us to be aware of these things because I know I'm tired of seeing my clients every year live off of this. I'm going to say if you're having any level of financial difficulty, you're not the only person that's living off of this. So the only way you're going to be able to add back to the money that you're able to live off of, you're only going to be able to live off of more of this is if you A, make more money, B, figure out how to steward the money that you're making better, right? You're going to have to figure out how to make more, how to steward it better. That's how you're going to improve your quality of life. We often think more is the problem. We need more, and I just need to share with you that's not what needs to take place. Now, this topic today that we were talking about was first BOIs and then, basically tax filing requirements. I know I kind of got on this tangent about, stewardship and how we live, but back to the business owner, right? So making sure that A, if you want to deduct these expenses, right? If you want to deduct the cell phone, right? Some of the expense that are considered indirect expense, because there's 2 types of expense, like I was saying earlier, direct expense and indirect expense, right? If there's 2 types of expense, you need to make sure, okay, your direct expense, it directly meets the IRS test. So you know that off the muscle, you're good, right? If IRS were to challenge this expense that you're deducting because you want to help get a bigger return, because everybody wants bigger returns or lower tax bills, right? Then basically you want to make sure, okay, you're good on that. But it's this indirect expense, right? All of that stuff. So the perfect conversation that I was having with my client yesterday is, she's like, yeah, I still have my business, but I work from home. Like, why? I was told that I could write off my rent. And I'm like, this is technically how it goes. So A, you can use square footage or different strategies. And so we got into her specific scenario, and that's what I'll cover specifically. So last year she was paying $1,000 for rent. Now she moved her business inside of her house. She has a designated space that she moved to because she wanted to be able to run her business from home instead of having storages and cut down on all that. So her rent went from $1,000 to $1,300. So that $300 difference, right? Before, when she wasn't running her business from home, her rent was $1,000. Now her rent is $1,300. The difference of because of the business is what's tax deductible. So that $300 times 12, because that's where she was all year, is the amount that's directly related to the business, which is what we're going to deduct on her taxes. Now let's talk about this electricity thing. Oh, well, I always got to pay electricity. I was told that you could deduct my electricity bill from the house. There's rules. Things have to be in order. Don't listen to one piece of information that people tell you. If they're not giving you the A to Z, then I don't want you to listen to it at all, because it can cost you. And when it costs you money, IRS is never going to say, and what's your tax preparer's name, right? What's your tax preparer's name, and what's their birth date, and what's their address, and what's their social? Because we're going to make them owe back this taxes too. IRS is never going to ask the tax professional to pay back the money. You're going to have to pay back that money on your own by yourself. Understand that. So knowledge can cost you. But anyway, she was like, well, what about electricity? I mean, I was told that I could deduct electricity, So yes, you can, a portion of, if you run your business from home. But here's the rule that I want you to have an understanding of, so you're not just taking that one piece of information and basically moving forward with that, and then you deduct something on your taxes that you cannot prove. Okay? If you can't prove it, don't trust what somebody else is telling you. You need to be able to have a level of understanding. So this is how I want you to understand it. This is the easiest method when it comes to deducting expense from the home. Before you were a business owner, what was your electricity bill? Well, my electricity bill was $100 a month. Okay, cool. Now that you're doing business, what is your electricity bill? It's $100 a month. Well, your electricity bill did not increase because you're doing business from home. So what are we discussing here? Now let's talk about this scenario. Okay, I have an electricity bill. What about that? Okay, so since you've been doing business from home, tell me about that. How much has your electricity bill increased? Well, before I was doing business from home, then my bill was $100 a month. Now that I'm doing business from home, now that I'm running my business from home, my electricity bill is, $140 a month. Because the lights are always on, we're always in this room, and it's increased, Okay, cool. So you went from $100 to $140 a month. Okay, that's a $40 difference. So $40 times 12 is what can be deducted on your tax bill. Okay, it's not going to be the full amount. If there has been no increase, then that's where you'll want to understand you're using that indirect expense, in which we talked about earlier, and that can literally cost you. It can cost you an IRS audit. It can cost you a headache. It can cost you being worried because you wrote off expense that you weren't supposed to write off. So I just want you to be aware of this, okay? And that's kind of the best way to understand this indirect expense stuff and the direct expense. Now, of course, there's so many ways. I was having a conversation with one of my truck driving clients yesterday, and we were talking about basically, his life and how they spend their money, right? And as we began to go on this conversation, we began to identify, he went from having like a $6,000 tax bill to owing nothing at all. But beyond that, so much of the money that he was spending, he didn't recognize that this could have been deductible if I would have known that, man, I don't need to just keep on, if I'm paying this person to manage all my affairs and I'm just giving them the money. But no, if we attach a strategy to everything, this is something that I heard in the past and I didn't realize the importance of it. Tax strategy. I don't watch television. Wow, the filter went off. Let me come back on and let it go back on. Okay, let's see if it comes. Very good. Yay, it's back on. Very good. Awesome. That looks much better. Okay, for today. So basically, let me help you ask, why do you think the but the lipping was off or something. But yes, I appreciate that, girlfriend. But why do you think the Super Bowl champions won? Why do you think teams win in general? I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I couldn't even tell you. I Googled it the next day. Teams generally win because they've attached a strategy to what it is that they're doing. People generally lose and gamble and take risk because they don't have a strategy attached to what it is that they do. So why not just take the time to develop a strategy for your taxes, to develop a strategy for your business, to develop a strategy for any area of your life, any area of your business, your money. Why not just, if your money is challenged, why not just develop a strategy for your money? Instead of just keep on spending. It's 2024. It's 2024. Most people are like, yeah, it's going to be the best year ever. I'm so excited. But it's not going to be the best year over, respectfully, for so many people, because they're doing exactly what they did last year, this year. So I say take time to develop a strategy, right? Developing a strategy, what does that look like, right? Let me just share this with you and then I'm going to get off because I know and I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So if you have any questions as a business owner, this is the time to be able to answer that. I'll be able to answer that. If you have an LLC or a corporation or a limited partnership, or a foreign entity and you need help with your BOI to avoid up to, a $500 penalty per day in jail time, we're filing, for LLCs for only $150, your BOIs. So if you DM me, your name and your number, a member of my team will call you. We'll collect the necessary information to help you file your BOI. We're only doing it for $150 because we don't want there to be any reason why people can't afford it. These are not consultation calls, so we won't go into answering all of your questions. But we will file your BOI if you were a LLC, if you're a corporation, so that you don't end up getting some jail time or some nasty fees because you didn't file your BOI on time. So if you have an LLC, if you have one LLC, if you have 10 LLCs, you need to file this BOI. DM me and my team will literally file it for you for only $150, just so we can be able to make sure that you're compliant, because nobody should want to do jail time just because I didn't file a report. Okay? So message us so we can be able to make sure that we help you with that. But I was going to cover, I was covering indirect expense, direct expense. Yeah, just making sure us as business owners, you're asking yourself. So when I'm going to say this and I'm going to open it up for Q&A that I'm really getting off. So as a business owner, I want to make sure you're putting everything in one of two categories when you're deducting something. Is this a direct expense? Is this something I'm paying for because it directly and only relates to the business? If the answer is yes, then it's a direct expense. If it's an indirect expense, that's that cell phone, right? That's that utility bill. If it's something that you were paying for before you had the business, then that's considered an indirect expense. Okay? It's considered an indirect expense, and there has to be tax strategy wrapped around it if you're going to deduct it on your taxes. Okay? I'm going to tell you this. I've seen so many clients that make less than, than some of my business owners make, that make less than, that make a fraction of what I make, but they pay a higher tax bill because they don't have the tax strategy in place and they're not a business owner. If you're a W-2 employee, there's so many expenses that you cannot deduct. Whether you work from home or not, there's expenses that you cannot deduct on your taxes. If you're a business owner, if you only work a job and you don't have a business. If you only work a job, your deductions are very, very limited. And so you're missing out on anything that you could possibly deem as ordinary and necessary. When can business owners write off medical expense? That's a very good question. So generally, medical expense are deducted on a Schedule A on the personal side. If the business won't ever have medical expense. But say, for instance, the business experienced something for maybe a member of their team, and the business had to incur an expense for a member of their team, then that's when maybe the business may have medical expense because a member of their team, right? And take into consideration, it depends what type of business you are. So for example, if I have employees here and one of my employees get hurt on the job, first off, that's generally insurance. So insurance is what will generally cover types of medical expense. If something happens on the job, there should be insurances in place that take care of medical expense. But generally, medical expense go on a Schedule A on the personal side. It doesn't generally go on the business unless the business experienced something. They're having to pay out expense for the business for a medical expense, but not for the owner themselves. All right? That will go on the personal side, not the business side. There's a difference. Okay? So medical expense, to answer your question, is generally on the personal side unless something happens within the business that requires that. If the insurance policy is not paying out, then then basically the business owner is incurring the expense because of what happened in their business that caused some sort of medical situation, right? So we want to make sure that we understand that so that we're absolutely in compliance. Any other questions you guys have, all you LLCs? Definitely make sure you ask me questions. What do you think about trying to brand yourself as a business under the LLC and run it through retail, e-commerce, and other side hustle? I don't fully understand that question. What do you think about trying to brand yourself as a business owner under the LLC? So brand yourself how in such a way? Do you want to get on so we can have this conversation so I can fully understand what you're asking? I love it. You're in the cartoon business, okay? So if you want to basically get on with me so I can be able to understand your question, so I can be able to answer it better. But what do you think about trying to brand yourself as a business owner? So I don't believe in trying, so I'm gonna say that. So what do you think about trying to brand yourself? So either you're going to brand yourself or not, right? So A, brand yourself, brand your business, brand whatever it is that's going to do business under the LLC. And what do you mean when you say under the LLC? And trying to run it or retail e-commerce. So yeah, that question is definitely layered, and I would love to be, and we can talk about it. All right. So I think someone just requested to join. I believe I accepted him in. I'll definitely answer the next few questions that come through. If individuals haven't filed taxes in 2 to 3, hi there.
Hello?
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Thank you for joining. Tell me your question.
Oh yes. Yeah, about it's about filing for that. Yeah, I heard about that. About the $500 penalty or something.
Yes. Are you referring to the BOI?
No, ma'am. No, I haven't yet.
Okay. So I'm sorry, you said you heard about that. What was that you heard about? Just so I can understand you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yes. Okay. What happened was I saw it on YouTube just last year. It's about a new law, and so I was seeing like because I just got my LLC since last year to be exact. But now I was like, okay, I need to hurry get this file so that way that could be taken care of in ahead of time.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
so I heard it'll be issued to like next year to 2025.
Yes. So good. So good question. A, congratulations on starting your LLC. My prayer, my hope is that you go hard in your business and that your business generates revenue, because so many people start LLCs and they never make any money with it. That's the first thing. So I want your LLC to be prosperous, right? So whatever vision you had for opening up your LLC, I need you to have daily goals within your business for your LLC. If not, it's going to be too much time that passes and you're going to find that the business is not making money. You're just going to think that all is because of this, right? So that's the first thing.
Right.
The second thing is and let me pull up the sheet because I want to be super, super accurate. All corporations, LLCs, LPs, limited partnerships, and foreign entities have to file this BOI. The BOI is that Beneficiary Owners Information Report. Now, there are different due dates based off of when you started your entity. I'm telling all my business owner clients right now it's tax season. People generally know that taxes are filed in the first quarter. So get all of your filing requirements knocked out in the first quarter. So when you're doing your federal taxes, you know that you're doing your franchise, you're doing your BOI. Everything is done at one time. So now that's a mental thought. That's no longer that's not something you have worried about. At the beginning of the year, you took care of all of those. Now, do you have until the end of the year to file your BOI? You 100% do if you started in 2023. However, I'm telling all of my clients after April, our rate is going up. We'll be charging $350. We won't be charging $150 for those because right now we're already on your file. We have everything that we need. If you're contacting us in May or June to get this done, you're procrastinating, and we want to deal with clients that are serious about making their goals happen. But yes, you have a BOI that's coming due. Well, that is due, so definitely get it knocked out because it is a new filing responsibility, and you want to have that off of your mental plate.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. I was planning to do this like around in March because yeah, I'm not gonna procrastinate because I got a lot of goals in my business
Let's go.
because I'm I'm planning to release like churches books, anything like from Amazon and all that good stuff because that's what I'm here for. Because I'm planning to do a lot of great things
Absolutely.
and like generate revenue.
I know that's right. So the first thing you said is this, and then I'm going to make sure I answer the other questions that came through. So thank you so much for joining. But you said you're planning to do a bunch of other things, but you said you're a cartoon business, right?
Yes.
So my humble, this is just my humble opinion as a business owner. For over 13 years now, I've done this and I've paid attention to why so many businesses win and why so many businesses suffer and fail and never make the amount of money that they want to make in life. It's because they're divided too thin. This is something I talk with my community about, right? We do this activity called What's on Your Plate. Because if you have a cartoon business, and I'm not going to deviate, it's not a coaching call, I'm not going to get into figuring out what your goals are and have you got there, and if not, why. But I'm going to tell you to focus on one business right now until that business is
Okay.
making you $10,000 a month. Don't focus on any other business.
Yes. Oh no, I'm not focused on any other business, just the
Beautiful.
Rogers Entertainment business, because I'm focusing on just one thing, just making cartoons, doing children's books, animated music
Love it.
videos, all that good stuff.
Love it.
Just that one
Love
business.
it. Love it. Love it. Well, I'm excited for you. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to you DMing us. We'll file your BOI for 150. Make sure you text your name and your number when you're ready, and let's get that taken care of so we can be able to help you conquer new things.
Awesome.
All right. Good deal. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Awesome. Yay. Okay, so there were some other questions that came through. I want to make sure I answer those questions really quickly. So if an individual hasn't filed taxes in 2 to 3 years, what type of penalties should they be aware of? Can they file all at the same time if they will hold the return? Really good question. So if an individual hasn't filed in 2 to 3 years, they'll only have penalties assessed if they owe a balance. So if IRS owes the taxpayer money, then understand that they will not have a balance. I mean, there will not be any penalties because IRS owes you money. It's like, I've just been holding your money. But if the taxpayer owes IRS money, then IRS will basically cause penalties and interest to assess from the date of the original filing due date. So if, just say if this taxpayer hasn't filed in the past 2 years, that means 2023, the 15th. So April, I believe it was April 18th last year of 2023, penalties and interest are accumulating since last year, every single day up until you file. The same thing for the previous year, right? So penalties are not always assessed. Penalties are only assessed if the taxpayer owes money, then that's when they'll basically assess penalties and interest. That's something that my team helps our clients with as well. In the event that there are penalties and interest, we've seen thousands of dollars of penalties, $6,000 penalty get wiped away with some of the solutions that we have. So don't worry about that. I would just say definitely make sure you get caught up. Make sure this taxpayer gets caught up on their funds, because after 3 years, then IRS won't actually pay out the refund. So if the taxpayer was, due a refund, right? If IRS was supposed to pay them a refund after 3 years, you will not get that refund. So I would say, the return that's almost 3 years past due, I would definitely say file that sooner versus in later, because I would hate to see the taxpayer not actually get their refund. Okay. So yes, I hope that helps. I didn't get on at the moment. It's okay if you want to get on still, Miss Call Me Div, so that I can be able to answer your question. I would absolutely love to do that. I would love to do that. I want to just make sure that I answer any questions that you guys may have about taxes, about business, about anything that possibly could be helpful with these. Let me just share 2 things with you. So there was that BOI topic that we talked about, right? All LLCs have to file that, right? Failure to file could be that penalty of up to $500 a day, and then even up to jail time. We want to avoid that. If you need help with filing your BOI, our team will file it for $150 only. Just DM me your name and DM me your number, and a member of my team will call you. That's the first thing. The second thing is that's the BOI. filing responsibility. I opened up 12 months of calls with me where we're going to be hammering out finances. We're going to be hammering out what's on your plate. We're going to be hammering out where your business is. If your business is on the ground, if your business is doing well, how can we help it get to the next level for only $1,297? Okay. So this is, people have asked me forever and ever to basically help them work through their life, help them work through their finances, help them get to the next level. Right. And so I created a limited time offer, where basically I'm saying, hey, I'm going to put you in an exclusive community with me, and I'm going to be able to go over the things that you need, that you want to see happen in your life, help you with your credit. Some of the things that we have to get in place in order for us to ever build a dynamic business. And so if that's something that you're interested in, definitely DM me as well, and we can send over a link for that. There are payment plans available for like as low as like $91 so that nobody can make an excuse. And so what I know to be true is this, is millionaires hang out with millionaires. Broke people hang out with broke people. Complainers hang out with complainers. Strugglers hang out with strugglers. Positive people hang out with positive people. Winners hang out with winners. Athletes hang out with athletes. And so what I recognize, so many people have said, Coach Cortney, will you coach me? And I'm like, man, I can't, the rate to coach one-on-one is, it's a very high investment, right? It's over $40,000. However, me doing a group coaching atmosphere where there's calls and we're helping you work through the key things for your business, there won't be any red tape in this community. So the questions that you have are going to be totally and specifically geared towards helping you get to the other side. So I just want to make sure you guys don't take advantage of it, because respectfully, I'm going to say this, and I'm really getting off here right now. Since I've been in this position, since I've worked in this tax office, I have seen so many people stay exactly where they're at because they're too prideful. They want to figure it out on their own. They don't think that they need to pay. They don't believe that they can afford to pay. They just rather figure it out. They rather figure it out. And so I see them just basically stay in this. It's like they're on the treadmill. They're not going further. They're making little, but then they just stay right here. They just stay right here. And so because I know what it feels like to feel stuck, then I wanted to create this community because this is what I love doing. When I'm not having these conversations, like I'm on live, I'm doing it with my team. I'm doing it with the people in my life. Hey, Steph, I'm doing it in general. And so I just recognize this is information that business owners need to know. They need to understand the indirect and the direct expense. They need to be able to understand what is it going to take in order for their business to get to that next level. They need to understand that if you have an LLC, a partnership, a corporation, a limited, partnership, a foreign entity, failing to file that BOI is going to cost you, too much time and possibly jail time. Get things in order so that you can make a bunch of money. I've been on here for quite some time, and I have to be able to connect with the team and conquer the day. Steph, I love you. I miss you. I look forward to connecting with you soon. We have to do it. I need to come to Florida too. I hope you guys have an amazing day. DM me if you need help with your BOI. Again, we're only doing them for $150. If you're interested in that exclusive community, 12 months, then definitely reach out as well so we can be able to make sure that we help you with that. We get you in there, and I hope that 2024 is better than ever, and I hope that you go further. All right, love you, have a great day, see you